This Liberty Sports Update is brought to you by Beacon Credit Union. Kelly, exciting times. Postseason now here for the lacrosse program as you head down to Conway, South Carolina. We were talking a little bit off air how funny and unique it is. Coastal, for the longest time, has been a big rival. Now you're going to see them in the tournament, but in the ASUN. So your thoughts on seeing Coastal, and we'll kind of talk more stuff as we move on here.
Yeah, it is kind of funny. We can't really seem to get away from them. But it's great for our girls, and I think for the conference too. Coastal's a good team. They bring a lot to the conference, and it's a fun little rivalry for our girls. So, I'm excited. We're going to have some tough challenges through this tournament, and I'm excited for that because it makes for, good competition, a good tournament, a good experience.
Had a phenomenal regular season. The job's not done yet. I know getting the NCAA tournament is the end goal and down the road to national championship. That being said, this program has sustained success, and I know that's something you're proud of. What have been some of the components that have helped you get to where you are now?
Yeah, I think, we really had to kind of scale back a couple years ago and say, okay, what can we do different? How can we make this sustainable? And we just really created a culture that I think was easy for the girls to follow. I think sometimes we make things so overcomplicated, and it's really hard, and we have to remember these are student athletes and they have a lot on their plate. So the more simplified we can make it, I think the easier it is for them to understand what the expectation is. And the more black and white we can make everything, which sometimes can be really hard. I think we tried really hard to do that, to make it more simple, and I think the girls have really responded, and they've really owned it, and they understand completely the expectations and the standards of the program, and they fight for them, and they represent them every day. And that's, I think, why we're able to sustain and why we're able to grow so much. And it's a credit to the girls. I think we had to make it easier to follow, but they've really owned it, and that's the big thing. I think you don't really make these big changes or win big games if you don't believe. And I think we've gotten to the part where the girls are confident and they have expectations, and they're confident because of the work they've put in and how they prepare, and that's how they train and how they carry themselves, and it carries over to the field. So it's pretty cool to watch.
I think it's easy to ask a question of, compare this group to that group. I don't think that's a fair question because it's an unjust to the ones that have come before a team that you currently have. Your 7 seniors have meant an awful lot to this program. What's their DNA about? Don't compare them to previous classes, but this group of 7 girls and why they've been so important to this team.
Yeah, they really have been. And for these guys, they were my first recruiting class, so they've been through it. I think the most special thing about this group is their ability to persist. We've been through, they've been on the part of some rough years, and they've showed up and they've bought in even through times that weren't fun. And I think it's fun for me to see them on the opposite side, but it's because of their commitment to this program and their ability to persist through some obstacles that have brought us to this point. And I think one of our freshmen said in an interview, for them that they don't know any different. And that's a credit to the seniors. They came in and the expectation is we're a good program and this is how we do things, and that's great. But they don't know what the other side was. So I think for these guys to really just stick with it and to buy in, even when we had some rough times and we had to work through a lot of stuff, we had to change some things. And, they've been consistent with us and supported what we're trying to do when it's been hard. I think now it's getting a little bit easy because just the standards are set, and I think they've done a really good job creating those standards and fighting for them. And they also know what happens when you don't really stick to the plan, So yeah, they will be forever woven into this program, and it's just really cool. I'm really excited for them to see them, experience winning and experience the other side of it.
Coming off shutout over Howard the other day, are you a coach that believes in you're only as good as your last time out? And if so, what residual effects of a game like that could help springboard you into Thursday?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of positives. I think there's a lot of positives from playing a really tough game too. I think we gained a lot from our High Point game, even though that was a loss. That was a huge game for us because it was a game after Jacksonville, and we responded. We got ourselves in a hole and we worked through it, and I'm proud of how we've we really tried to make a point these last few games to improve on things that we needed to improve on that really got exposed. And I think they did a really good job sticking to that plan, and regardless of who we were playing, focused on us and what we needed to clean up. And I feel like we've been building and building and building, and we're going into this week with a lot of momentum because they really focused on what we needed to do to clean up our game. And yeah, I'm excited.
Final thought here as you see Coastal on Thursday. 11-10 matchup the first time. You did beat them. Is your team different than the last time you saw the Chanticleers?
Yes, and that's a benefit of we played them March 31st, so we've got a good gap. And same with them. They've had time to make adjustments. But what I'm excited about after watching a lot of film back is that we've significantly improved in areas that we needed to. And I'm excited for that because I'm not watching that film back and being like, oh, we're still doing that or whatever it is. And the same with them. They've had a lot of time to make adjustments and to change some things. But that's been our biggest key is trying to build off of these games and to get better, even in games where, okay, as a Coastal, we won that game, but we could watch that game back and pick apart areas where we made it a little bit harder for ourselves. And I think this group has done a good job of understanding that, like not getting so caught up in the win and being like, okay, we won that game. But there's a lot we can improve on, and they understand that, and they've focused on improving those things.
Two old rivals collide once again Thursday. Kelly, thanks for your time.
Thank you.